everyone, welcome back to lesson 22 of 제니퍼의 Actual Speaking. I'm Jennifer Clyde. Now, of course, in lesson 22, we'll be talking about relationships as we did in lesson 21, but we'll focus on bad relationships. Of course, we talked about our best friends, people that we like, but let's switch over to bad relationships. So perhaps you may begin talking about what types of people you do not get along with. I'll give you my story. For example, I don't get along well with people that are, I guess, too showy. All they like to do is talk about themselves. Another type I don't like to be around are those people with that negative vibe, negative energy. If you happen to be around them, somehow you tend to feel down or depressed, or you feel no energy in you. Of course, I'm sure there are people that you don't like or people you don't get along well with, so let's begin talking about that in today's lesson. Are you ready? Let's get started. Welcome back, everyone. Are you ready to begin our warm-up segment? Let's, of course, as always, begin with the 5 W's and how. Now, our topic for today's lesson is once again relationships. We'll be talking about relationships and focus on the bad relationships. So let's get started. From the 5 W's, let's begin with the first W, which is who. So these are some things you may talk about when you happen to have a conversation about today's topic. Now, who did you have a falling out with? Here, a fallout is basically an argument. You can also say have a falling out, which means you had a conflict, an argument. So if you had an argument or fought with somebody, think about that. Who did you have a falling out with? Our next W is, of course, who don't you get along with? I guess it's very similar, but the first one is you're focusing on an argument you had with someone, who that person is, but then again, sometimes for no special reason, you just do not get along with some people. Get along with, it means that you do not have a good relationship. If you don't get along with a person, moving on to what don't you like about him or her? Now think about a person that you are not close with, somebody you don't like very much, and ask yourself this question. What don't you like about him or her? Moving on to our next what bothers or annoys you the most about this person? So what really bothers you? What annoys you about this person? It may be the person's personality or, of course, some actions this person always tends to do, okay? So think about what you don't like about this person and also what are your differences. Remember, as we were talking about good relationships, we talked about your similarities, the things you have in common. But today, think about what your differences are. How different are you? Okay, moving on to what problems have you had? Think about the problems and what have you tried to better your relationship? Better here means to improve, to make better. So if you had a falling out with someone and if you tried to mend things, well, think about that. What have you done to try to make the friendship or relationship better? Okay? Moving on, when did you start to fall apart? Now, a fallout, as I did mention, is more of an argument. But when did you start to fall apart? It means to become farther away from each other. We're talking about a distance. So, if you fell apart, you're no longer very close. Moving on to where. Where did you meet? So that's simple, right? Think about where you met and also why don't you get along? You can think of all different kinds of reasons. Why don't you get along? Moving on to how. Now, how do you feel or act around him or her? Especially if you don't like someone, you really can't be yourself. You may try to please this person by acting a certain way. If you're around this person, you just may be in a bad mood. So you may be angry, depressed, whatever. So think about how you feel or act when this person is around you. Okay, moving on to how does he or she treat you? Okay, so flip it around and think about how this person that you don't like very much acts around you. How does he or she treat you? Is he or she nice to you? Does he or she treat you badly? Think about those things as we brainstorm. So brainstorm some more cues on your own, and let's move on to our listening segment. Let's take you to actual talk.
So Rachel, last time we talked about your most positive relationships. Have you ever had any really bad relationships?
Bad relationships? Fortunately enough, I've always had really great relationships, like really great friendships. But if I had to think about it, I did
If you
have,
had to point the finger.
yeah, if I had to point a finger, I had one friend where I kind of had a fallout with her because she ended up being such a negative Nancy.
Oh.
Yeah, she was like a Debbie Downer. I know it's kind of funny, but
It can be difficult to deal with that
exactly.
situation.
Yeah, she really put a damper on my feelings and my spirits and things like that. So it got to a point where I felt like, oh, maybe I should cut the rope because I don't know if I can be friends with someone who always puts me in kind of a negative feeling or negative state.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. But fortunately, though, we were able to salvage our relationship. We were because she was able to be more optimistic.
So what made her turn around?
I think a lot of her friends felt the same way as me, and we kind of tried to cut ties with her, and we told her specifically,
Why? Yeah.
exactly, that she either has to change or we can't really hang out with her. So she changed.
Yeah.
Yeah, but what about you, Peter? What would you say are some bad relationships that you've had?
Well, I mean, everybody comes across fair weather friends from time to time.
That's true.
But the great thing about friendships is you can choose which people you try to spend time with and which ones you don't. Unfortunately, I also come from a somewhat dysfunctional family.
Like most families.
Yeah, in America, yeah. And I have a sister who's quite negative.
Oh, okay.
She just didn't deal with things so well. She's felt like the world has come against her, and she thinks everybody owes her something.
Oh, okay.
So it's been a little bit difficult to deal with her from time to time, and I've had to keep her at arm's length.
Okay, yeah. So it seems
So hopefully
kind of
she'll
hard.
turn around at some point soon.
Yeah, I hope so. And family is, you're always, like you said, you can't choose your family members, right? So hopefully you guys can patch things up.
I hope so too.
So here we are again, ready to take a look at the conversation between Peter and Rachel. Now, what did they each talk about? Do you remember what Peter said? He briefly mentioned his sister, right? And Rachel talked about a friend that she had in the past. They had problems, but then again, they were able to save their friendship. Okay, let's take a look at the conversation then. Well, Peter begins by saying, last time we talked about your most positive relationships, meaning good relationships. And then he asks a very important question. Have you ever had any really bad relationships? So you know exactly what we're going to talk about today. Bad relationships. Well, Rachel says, fortunately enough, I was lucky enough. I've always had really great relationships, really great friendships. So she's talking about relationships and friendships in general. And so far, luckily, fortunately, they have all been good. Now, but Peter says, okay, I understand, but if you had to point the finger, okay. Now, what does this mean? Point the finger, you're pointing your finger at something. You're pointing something out. Now, in this case, if you point the finger at somebody, it means to blame someone. So he's saying, well, if you really had to point the finger at someone or blame someone, who would it be? So Rachel starts by explaining. She says, well, if I had to point the finger, I had one friend who I kind of had a fallout with. So once again, a fallout is another word for argument, a fight. So she's saying I had a fight or an argument with one of my friends because she ended up being such a negative Nancy. And she says she was like a Debbie Downer as well. Now, I'll be telling you more about these expressions, but for example, what's negative? It means minus. If you say that somebody has a negative personality or negative attitude, we're saying that they are pessimistic. That's right. What about Debbie Downer? A downer is what? Let's think about your mood, okay? Now, or your feelings, for example. A downer, you're going down and down and down, which means I guess you tend to feel a bit depressed. So she's saying she was kind of a negative Nancy, meaning she was a pessimistic person, and also a Debbie Downer, meaning she tended to make people feel depressed. She ruined the mood. Okay, and then moving on, of course, Peter says, yeah, I know, it could be difficult. And Rachel says, she really put a damper on my feelings and spirits. Now, put a damper on something. In this case, feelings and spirits, okay? Feelings, as we all know, it's our emotions. And for spirits, it's like our energy or even our soul. But to put a damper on something means to lessen the joy of something, or simply put, to ruin something. Now, a damper is a device used on piano strings to make the loud sound, yes, sound, not as loud. So, put a damper on something means to ruin something. So, simply put, she's saying she put a damper on my feelings, meaning she ruined my emotions, the way I felt, and my spirits. She was a very depressing person, I guess. Moving on, so she says, so I thought I should cut the rope. Now, imagine that you have a rope and you cut it off. It means to disconnect. So in a friendship, you're saying, hey, I think we should cut the rope. It means maybe we should no longer be friends. End something, put an end to. And she says, well, she always put me in a negative state, meaning she always made me feel negative, which is not a very good thing, right? And then she says, but fortunately, luckily though, we were able to salvage our relationship. Now, salvage means to, for example, rescue, okay, to restore. In this case, it means to improve or better, because she was able to be more optimistic, which is the opposite of pessimistic. Optimistic, negative, pessimistic. Now, Peter asked, so what made her turn around? 뒤돌아보게 하다? Actually, turn around means to change. So he's saying, what made her change? And Rachel says, I think a lot of her friends felt the same way as me. So they were not happy with this friend, and we tried to cut ties with her, okay? Cut ties with her, meaning, I guess, end the relationship. Emotionally, for example. You don't want to be friends with this person anymore. You do not want to have any relation with this person. So they all did not want to be friends with her. Now, we told her that she either had to change or we couldn't hang out with her. So they gave her an option, change, and if you can't change, we can't be your friend. So she changed. Great. Now, what about you, Peter? She asks Peter, what would you say are some bad relationships that you've had? And Peter says, well, everybody comes across, which means to encounter, to meet, in this case, to experience fair weather friends. We'll take a closer look at this idiomatic expression later on, but fair-weathered friends basically are friends that are around you for convenience reasons. And he says, but the great thing about friendships is you can choose who you want to spend time with and who you don't want to. Unfortunately, I also come from a somewhat, meaning kind of, dysfunctional family. Now, dysfunctional family refers to a family where there are problems between family members, okay? Constantly, sisters and brothers are fighting, or your parents may be fighting all the time. So we're talking about not a very stable family. And of course, he moves on by saying, I have a sister who's quite negative. So she's very much like Rachel's friend. She just didn't deal with, meaning cope with things so well. She felt like the world had come against her. Now, come against means to be in conflict, having problems. So she felt like maybe she was being attacked, okay? And everybody owed her something. Oh, if I borrow money from you, I owe you money. It means to pay back or repay. So his sister felt like everyone was attacking her, no one was on her side, and she had to receive something from them, okay? Moving on, so it's been a little difficult to deal with her, and I've had to keep her at arm's length. Now, keep someone at arm's length. Let's imagine this, okay? Keep someone. Imagine there is a person here, arm's length. Now, this person is not very close to me, but kind of far away from me, right? So if you say keep someone at arm's length, you are saying that you're keeping a distance between that person and you, okay? Now, she says, hopefully she'll turn around, remember, change, at some point soon. Moving on, Rachel, of course, has something very important. People say you can't choose family members. You cannot choose, so hopefully you guys can patch things up. Patch things up means to what? Make better, to fix things. Perhaps in this case, we're talking about becoming closer, okay? Solving the problems that they may have. And Peter, of course, says, I hope so too. After all, it's family, right? So that about does it for today's actual talk. Listen to it one more time with the subtitles.
So Rachel, last time we talked about your most positive relationships. Have you ever had any really bad relationships?
Bad relationships? Fortunately enough, I've always had really great relationships, like really great friendships. But if I had to think about it,
If you had to point the finger.
Yeah, if I had to point the finger, I had one friend where I kind of had a fallout with her because she ended up being such a negative Nancy.
Oh.
Yeah, she was like a Debbie Downer. I know, it's kind of funny, but
It can be difficult to deal with that
exactly.
situation.
Yeah, she really put a damper on my feelings and my spirits and things like that. So it got to a point where I felt like, oh, maybe I should cut the rope because I don't know if I can be friends with someone who always puts me in kind of a negative feeling or negative state. Yeah, exactly. But fortunately, though, we were able to salvage our relationship. We were, because she was able to be more optimistic.
So what made her turn around?
I think a lot of her friends felt the same way as me, and we kind of tried to cut ties with her, and we told her specifically, exactly, that she either has to change or we can't really hang out with her. So she changed. Yeah. But what about you, Peter? What would you say are some bad relationships that you've had?
Well, I mean, everybody comes across fair weather friends from time to time.
That's true.
But the great thing about friendships is you can choose which people you try to spend time with and which ones you don't. Unfortunately, I also come from a somewhat dysfunctional family.
Like most families.
Yeah, in America, yeah. And I have a sister who's quite negative.
Oh, okay.
She just didn't deal with things so well. She's felt like the world has come against her, and she thinks everybody owes her something.
Oh, okay.
So it's been a little bit difficult to deal with her from time to time, and I've had to keep her at arm's length.
Okay, yeah. So it seems
So hopefully
kind of hard.
she'll turn around at some point soon.
Yeah, I hope so. And family is, you're always, like you said, you can't choose your family members, right? So hopefully you guys can patch things up.
I hope so too.
All right, now that we've taken a listen to the actual talk one more time, let's now find out some actual expressions you can use when talking about today's topic. Once again, we're talking about relationships, but the bad ones, the negative ones, the not so good ones, for example. So here are some ways to describe bad or rocky relationships. What's rocky? It does not mean that there are many, many rocks, but we're saying it's up and down. It's a rough relationship, okay? Not a good one. You can say, she and I always seem to butt heads. What does that mean? Simply put, first of all, it means to argue all the time, to fight. If you're constantly competing against someone, yeah, it means to butt heads. This expression actually comes from, let's say, for example, a long, long time ago, when bulls or even goats fight, what do? They bump their heads together. So they're butting their heads, meaning fighting each other, okay? So if you're constantly fighting with someone, you can say, he and I or she and I always seem to butt heads. That means to fight. He and I are like cat and dog. We often say this. Now, what are cats and dogs like? They're like enemies. They hate each other. So if you want to say somebody and I, this person and I always fight. We do not get along. You can say we're like, or he and I are like cat and dog. Okay? This means you do not get along with this person. What about this one? We're like sworn enemies. Enemy, I'm sure you all know what that is, but sworn. Now, sworn is, of course, we say swear, swore, sworn, right? So if you say that you are sworn enemies with somebody, you are saying that maybe you had an argument or a fight and you hate each other so much, you do not plan to even mend things with them, okay? So you can be enemies. Real enemies, you're sworn enemies. Moving on, we just got off on the wrong foot. Now this is an idiomatic expression. It means to have a bad start to something. Oftentimes, you may meet someone for the first time, but because of something, the beginning, the start was not so good, and it's difficult to become friends with certain people. So, got off the wrong foot, you can say we had a bad start to our relationship. My girlfriend and I have a pretty stormy relationship. Now, stormy and rocky, it's very similar. What's stormy? Imagine, if the weather is stormy, you may see lightning and thunder and rain. What's it like? It's not good, is it? So, if there are lots of ups and downs and you're constantly arguing, you can say that you have a stormy relationship with somebody. Now, ever since our spat last month, spat is an argument, a verbal argument. We haven't been on speaking terms. Now, we have not been on speaking terms, meaning you have not been talking to each other, okay? There's no conversation between you and this friend. Another one, our relationship is so damaged that it's hard to patch things up. Once again, patch things up, what does that mean? It means to fix, repair, make better. So it's so damaged. You've taken it too far that there's nothing you can do to become close friends again. Let's move on. Now, the negative qualities of people. So far, you talked about what your relationship is like with a person. You may even talk about how this person makes you feel because of his or her negative qualities. So you can say, she sucks the life out of the good things. Now, suck the life out of something means to take the energy out of something. So, for example, you can say she sucks the life out of the good things, meaning she takes away all the good things. She takes away the good things, okay? You can also say she sucks the joy out of something, which means she takes away the joy from something, okay? All right, moving on. My boss shoots down, shoot down, okay? Every idea I have, and you may say he simply has no faith in my work. Now, to have faith in something or to have faith in someone means to believe that this person is capable of doing something, okay? You trust this person, but what does he do? My boss shoots down every idea I have. Shoot down, you're shooting someone, right? In this case, it means to criticize someone. So, my boss criticizes every idea I have. My boss shoots down every idea I have. Moving on, you can say she's such a negative, or another word for negative is pessimistic, a very negative person. So she's such a negative person, or she's such a pessimistic person. She never sees good in anything. She never sees good in anything, meaning she's always negative about everything, okay? She's got bad things to say about everything because she is so pessimistic or negative. Moving on, consideration is not in his vocabulary. I love this pattern. Try to make use of it. If you want to talk about a person and you don't like this person for a specific reason, I may say, he is not considerate. He has no consideration for others. That's good, but you can say consideration blank is not in his vocabulary or not in her vocabulary, meaning that person knows nothing about consideration, meaning he is not considerate. Moving on to our next one. There's something about her. 뭔가가 있어요. There's something about her that rubs me the wrong way. What does this mean? It means to bug, really bother, irritate, annoy you. Imagine someone rubbing you on the same spot over and over and over again. How would you feel? Very annoyed, right? So you can see there's something about her that really bothers me, that annoys me. She rubs me the wrong way, okay? Let's move on. He really tries to keep everyone under his thumb. Now, keep someone under someone's thumb means you have control over them. 계속 누르는 거예요. Okay, do as I say, do as I say, don't do this, do this. So if you're controlling, you can say he or she keeps everyone or her under his thumb. Okay, let's move on. He's so judgmental. I just can't stomach people like him. Judgmental meaning this person judges people, okay? He criticizes them and judges them. And if you say, I really cannot stand, I can't tolerate people like that, you can say, I cannot stomach people like that. I cannot stomach people like that, meaning, yeah, you cannot deal with them. You hate people like that. Let's move on to ways to talk about your differences. Remember, as we were brainstorming, we talked about the differences you could mention in your talk or interview, right? We never see eye to eye on anything. Remember? See eye to eye on something means to be in agreement, okay? Have many common things. We talked about this in lesson 21, so I hope you remember that. Another one, I'm more of a rational person, but he's very logical. Now, rational and logical, I guess, can be, explained as almost the same thing, but I guess the difference is a rational person and a logical person. A logical person thinks, or bases things on fact, but a rational person sees both the logical and emotional sides of things, okay? So you can say, I'm more of an emotional person, a rational person, but he or she is a logical type, okay? Moving on, I'm an introvert and he's an extrovert. I'm sure you all know these words, but introvert is what? If you are an introvert, you're keeping things to yourself, meaning you tend to be shy. An extrovert, right? You're letting things off, so it means you are more of an outgoing person, a very active person. So these could be some differences. You can say we're just not made for each other, meaning somehow, for some reason, she and I or he and I do not get along with one another. We are not meant for each other, okay? Quickly, let's take a look at these Debbie Downers. In the conversation, there was a Debbie Downer, remember? Rachel said that. The 3 types of people you don't want around you. Now, a Debbie Downer is people that are they say things that ruin any joyful mood. So they'll say something that ruins the entire atmosphere for you and everyone else. They bring the mood down. You call those types of people a Debbie Downer. Another one, Negative Nancy. That was also in our actual talk. A Negative Nancy is what? A person who holds you down, okay? Negative Nancy doesn't say any words of encouragement. Rather, they're very negative. They find every kind of fault in what you do. So they're very negative. Why did you do this? You shouldn't have done this. They're always complaining and saying things that are negative. One more, everyone. Pessimistic Patty. Pessimistic is also, that's right, negative. But pessimistic Patty, well, optimism is nowhere to be found, or optimism is not in their dictionary. Now, this person finds a way to discourage you all the time. They figure out a way to tell you that hope is not there, okay? And things are downhill. Things are downhill, meaning things are not going very well. So these are some people or the types of people you can talk about the next time you give an interview or have a conversation with someone about bad relationships or the types of people you do not like to be around. All right, good job, everyone. That is all for today's actual expressions. Okay, everyone, welcome back to, of course, our little break. It's time for a breather, time for idiom attack. So get ready for today's idiom. Kind of stretch your arms and legs and sit back and relax. Today's idiom is breathe down someone's neck. Breathe down someone's neck. What do you think it means? First of all, I'll give you a sample sentence using today's idiom. It is, I can't do anything with you breathing down my neck. Stop breathing down my neck. I can't do anything with you breathing down my neck. Okay, do you get an idea of what this idiom means? Here is the definition. In Korean, it is 철저히 감시하다, 간섭하다. Okay, so if someone breathes down your neck, they're very close to you, watching everything you do. Definition, to have someone who stays very close to you, watching everything you do. All right, so here is another sample sentence. You can say, my boss was breathing down my neck all afternoon. So imagine the situation. You're working at your desk and your boss is breathing down your neck all afternoon. That's right, which means you're working very hard, but your boss is perhaps standing right behind you, watching everything you do, okay? Very, very annoying. So breathe down one's neck. Imagine that somebody is standing so close to you, you can feel their breath. All right, that is all for today's idiom. Practice it on your own and make use of it.
Have you ever experienced a really bad relationship with someone? Did you ever have to end a relationship permanently? Talk about some bad relationship experiences from your past with as much detail as possible.
I've known her since I was in high school, and I guess the years don't matter much because it just happened within a second. I was talking to her about upcoming final in our lunchtime when I told her not to get stuck in the library and come out and enjoy her life. And she was very hurt by what I was saying because she told me she didn't need consulting from me. After my class time was over, she left a message on my phone saying that she thought me as a really real best friend, and she was hurt by what I was saying. And I told her that it wasn't what I meant before, and I apologized for her, and I asked her to meet again and talk about this problem. But from then on, she didn't answer my call or my text message, and it was over just within a second, and I don't talk to her anymore, and our relationship is over from then on.
Okay, everyone, welcome back. Did you listen carefully to the actual interview? First of all, thank you to Kam Kyung-min. We do want to say thank you for your time and effort, and also for a wonderful interview. Now, we talked about bad relationships today, and the question was, talk about a bad relationship. What happened and so forth. Now, what did she say? She talked about a friend, well, a good friend, that she kind of fell apart with. They're no longer friends because she hurt her feelings. Let's take a look and find out what happened exactly. Now, she did mention by saying, I've known her since I was in high school. Wow, so it means that they were friends from a long time ago. And she says, I guess years don't matter much. What does this mean? I love this expression, wonderful job, because she's saying years don't matter much. It's not important how long you've known each other, whether it's been for a day or for 10 years. It does not really make a big difference. She says because it just happened within a second. So she is a bit exaggerating. Now, this did not happen within a second, but she's trying to say that it happened so quickly, so easily. Wonderful job there. Let's take a look at another great one. Now, she also said, and she was very hurt by what I said. Because she told me she didn't need consulting or consultation from me. So she's talking about what happened in detail. She's talking about her friend's feelings and emotions. She said that her friend was hurt, and what she said was, I don't need consulting from you. Oh, wow. Okay, so wonderful job here. Let's take a look at some oopsies, some small mistakes made in the interview. Now, She said, I told her not to get stuck in the library and come out and enjoy her life. So I guess she wasn't trying to be mean. It was just advice as a good friend, but it hurt her. Now, I told her not to get stuck in the library, not to be stuck in the library, and come out or get out and enjoy life perhaps would be better. So you can say, I told her that she shouldn't be stuck in the library, meaning not stay in the library all the time. Rather, get out, go outside and enjoy life. But should go out or but go out and enjoy her life. Okay, so see the difference? Let's move on to our next one. After my class time was over, she left a message in my phone saying that she thought me. So what's missing here? Thought me as a real best friend. Kind of sounds awkward here, right? Thought me. And she was hurt by what I was saying. So these are some things you want to pay attention to. Always keep a constant tense. You're talking about what happened in the past, right? So let's see. After my class time, that's a bit awkward, was over. She left a message in my phone, on my phone, saying that she thought of me as a real best friend and she was hurt by what I was saying. No, what I had said, right? She was not talking about it at the moment, but that is what she said in the past. So here we go. After my class was over, she left a message on my phone saying that she thought of me as a real best friend and that she was hurt because of or by what I had said. What I was saying? No, you should say what I had said because you're talking about something that happened already in the past. So job well done once again, and hope you don't make these common mistakes, everyone, the next time you happen to do an interview about whatever topic. So that is all for today's actual interview. Well, time is up already, everyone. I do want to thank you for joining me today, and I sure hope that you had lots of fun and learned a lot of new expressions related to talking about bad relationships. So once again, as a reminder, the next time you happen to have a conversation or the next time you have to do an interview in English and talk about today's topic, perhaps you can talk about with whom you've had an argument with, or with whom you've had a fallout with, talk about that, and perhaps talk about why it happened or what happened. What brought you farther apart from each other? And while you're at it, maybe add some negative qualities of people that you do not like to be around. Remember, negative Nancy, Debbie Downer, expressions such as those. Now also keep in mind when you're doing an interview about any topic. All right, let's focus on today's topic. You want to deliver your story or your thoughts very clearly. So don't pressure yourself by thinking, oh, I have to talk for a minute. I shouldn't pause. I have to keep talking and talking and talking. Do not pressure yourself. Feel comfortable most of all. And, of course, the person listening to your story will definitely feel much more comfortable and find your story all the more interesting. So please do keep those tips in mind, and I guess I'm going to have to say that's all for today. I'll be joining you back next time with lesson 23 with the topic traveling. So for those that want to talk about traveling, be sure to tune in next time. That is all for now, everyone. You can also come to our homepage at www.ebse.co.kr and look for Jenny Poet Actual Speaking. Well then, until next time, take care and bye-bye, everyone.